Hello and welcome to another patch from scratch video in which I improvise a modular synth patch from scratch without planning too much ahead. So as always, I will connect my mixer's main output to my recorder, which goes through just a little DIY converter from the small TS jack to the big TS jack, which goes into my Zoom R16 multitrack recorder, of which I of course just use one track. Anyway, so for today I thought I would explore a little bit of sub-oscillator stuff and maybe also some frequency multiplication. So first of all, let's use the Intellijel Dixie VCO in VCO mode this time, not as an LFO, but as a regular VCO, which we can hear. I'll plug the square output into the mixer. And it sounds like that, just like a square. And now I will just multiply that signal because we will use it more than once. This is just a DIY multiple passive, which I built myself. And yeah, I will patch the signal back into the mixer's first input. And now here's a little trick, which I also showed in another video of mine. It's using the Doepfer A160 clock divider as a sub-oscillator. Because the clock divider divides the incoming pulse sequences, it can also divide the frequency of a pulse wave and will create lower tones. So I will patch that VCO signal into the trigger input, and we can already see it blinking very fast. And if we turn up the frequency of the VCO, it goes even faster. So let's turn the volume of just the VCO signal up again. So this is our bass pitch from the square wave. And now I'll patch the divided by 4 output into the second mixer input and turn that up. And we have a pitch which is 2 octaves lower, because it's divided by 4. If we turn down the frequency of the VCO, the sub-oscillator goes down in pitch as well. So I'll turn down the first mixer input with the VCO signal down, and now we can just hear the output of the clock divider. So now we have 2 waves which we can mix together. Now having 2 square waves, one generated by the clock divider and one by the Dixie, is a little boring, I think. We'll just use the sawtooth wave output, which has a rising edge, which will trigger the clock divider. So the clock divider will still output a pulse wave, but the Dixie VCO will output a sawtooth wave, which sounds like that. And mixed with the clock divider, okay, that's cool. Now let's create a multiplied frequency output by using the the 4MS shuffling clock multiplier. This will take an incoming clock signal and multiply its speed, so it will create a higher pitch. So I'll patch the VCO's output into the trigger input of the clock multiplier, and we'll patch the multiplied by 2 output into my mixer and see what happens. Yeah, that doesn't sound as clean as the clock divider output, but I also have some controls here, like a pulse width, and I can also rotate the division to create different pitches from the same output. It's the shuffling clock multiplier by 4MS, and yeah, it's a cool multiplier, and it can also be used as pitch generator or as a tone generator with a higher pitch, and I will just mix the sawtooth wave in and our sub-oscillator from the clock divider. And again, by adjusting the frequency, all the pitches go higher and lower together with the VCO. Okay, let's turn that down. And because we can also control this multiplication rotation with CV, we will just do that by using a, let's have a look, by using the Turing machine's CV sequence output, because that's like a sample and hold. It will just give me random CV voltages, so it's not like a like an LFO which just goes up and down, but this behaves more randomly. So I will take the sequence output and we will multiply it, and then I'll patch that. Oh, I need a longer cable for that. I will patch it into the clock rotation input, and I'll turn up the sound. Oh, and in order for the Turing machine to work, I of course need to feed it a clock, and I will use a make noise function square output as a clock generator. I'll just patch it in there, and now we can see that it starts generating voltages. Yeah, and we can already hear that the multiplications rotate and the pitch changes. Yeah, and next we will also modulate the pulse width of the outgoing signal. This is really dirty, but I think, yeah, it has some character, and it sometimes sounds like an old dial-up modem, and that's pretty cool. All right, so that's it for that. We have a bass pitch coming from the Dixie VCO, and a lower pitch coming from the clock divider, and a higher pitch, which is modulated, coming from the shuffling clock multiplier. Let's see what else we can do. We could use the make noise function, the second one which I have here, as a sub-oscillator, which is something that I showed in another video as well. So we will take the last of the multiplied bass signals from the Dixie and route it into the trigger in, so that the make noise function is triggered at the frequency of the Dixie. And we will route the end of cycle square output into the last mixer input. And we can also change the sound by increasing or decreasing the rise and fall times. And I will just dial in our bass VCO sound so that we have a reference. Okay, that's getting really fat, but so far it's just one constant pitch. So let us change that and route the Turing machine's CV sequence output into our Intellijel microscale, which I've also done in the first video of this series, just to create some random patterns, but in a musical scale. And I'll take the C, D, E keys. For now it's not tuned correctly, but it will play in those notes. And I will patch the output of the microscale into the 1 volt per octave input of the Dixie. And now we can hear it playing some melodies. And I'll just turn down the pitch a little more. And now I'll add the clock division output and the clock multiplier output. And the make noise function output. Okay, great. Now that's just one constant stream of sounds. Let's chop that up by patching our mixer's output into the Erica Synth Polivoks low-pass filter. And from there, the output goes back into the mixer. We will use this low-pass filter as a VCA. So we'll turn on the frequency completely. And something's leaking. Maybe it's too hot, I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter for now. It's a modular synth, and yeah, they can sometimes bleed a little bit. Oh, and I'll just turn my camera off and turn it on again, because I've reached this 4 GB limit of this DSLR. Okay, I'm back again. So, yeah, we wanted to use the low-pass filter as a VCA. So, to modulate the cutoff frequency, we'll use a Quadra envelope output, patch it into the first CV in, increase the CV strength using the input attenuator. And now we need something to trigger the envelope. And we already have the Turing machine running here, which with the pulse expansion will generate random pulses. So we'll use one of those. Put it into the trigger input. And let's make it a little faster here. And if we lock the Turing machine, it will just play a fixed pattern. And if we increase the resonance of the Polivoks filter, and we can also change the curve of the Quadra envelope to make it a little snappier. And I just changed the rotation behavior of the shuffling clock multiplier. And I'll turn the... wow, I'm bumping into my case today, I don't know why. And I'll turn the Turing machine back to random. And I don't like the random pulses triggering the Quadra, so let's change that. And let us have the Stoicheia stochastic rhythm generator clock or trigger the Quadra. And for that I will multiply our clock source, because we need it once for the Turing machine and we also need it for the Stoicheia. And because I'm a big fan of the Synthrotek EKO Delay, we will just route our main output into that, or actually through that, into our recorder. Okay, and since we have another Stoicheia output, which gives us some rhythms, let's just get a little beat going here. And I will patch that into the Delptronics little drummer boy. And we'll use the hand clap sound. And I'll patch the main output into my Manhattan analog mixer. And I'll patch the output of the echo also in the Manhattan analog mixer. So I will mix the drum sounds and our final synth voice sound in there. And from there it goes back into the recorder. Yeah, now we almost have a jam session going. I can change the rhythm. Okay, let's turn that down. And because we have another, or actually lots of more clocks coming from the pulses, we can just patch one pulse's output into the closed hi-hat input of the little drummer boy, and then we'll take another output and patch it into the bass drum. Too loud, I guess. But anyway, you get the idea. So we're at 19 minutes now, I think, and I think we can leave it at that. So to wrap things up, I'll just go through everything once more. We started with the Intellijel Dixie and route its sawtooth wave output through a multiple into a clock divider to generate a square wave 2 octaves below the VCO's pitch. We'll use the 4MS shuffling clock multiplier to generate a square wave, or a dirty square wave with a higher pitch, and we'll use the make noise function as another sub-oscillator to generate a lower pitch. We mix all of those 4 different sounds together and through the Erica Synth Polivoks VCF, which is in low pass mode and used as a VCA. So the frequency is turned to 0 and the CV is turned to max. So whenever our Quadra envelope goes high, it will open the filter and the sound comes through. This goes into the Synthrotek EKO Delay, and that goes into a mixer. And our Quadra envelope is clocked by the Stoicheia module, and we have some modulations going from the Turing machine to the shuffling clock multiplier. And then we use several trigger sequences to trigger some drum sounds from the little drummer boy. Alright, I'll just play around with that patch for a minute or two, and then I'll press stop on all of my devices here. So, as always, thanks a lot for watching. Subscribe, comment, like, share for more videos, and yeah, tell me in the comments what you'd like to see in this video series, or just give me just a topic or a theme to explore, and I'll see what I can do. So yeah, thanks for watching and see you soon.